Hey, it's Blair here at Time Trades, and this is your tutorial on the TT Energy Lunar script, which is a fancy name for lunar phases. It's been many years since I've wanted to create something like this, but I haven't been able to figure out the right way to visualize full moons and new moons. But I have just figured that out this week, so I want to share it with you, how to use it and to make the most of it. You can search for it under indicators. It is an invite only indicator. You will need a time trade subscription. If you don't have one, you can start a free 15-day trial at time-trades.com. Okay, so if we go to TT Energy Lunar and click on that, what you will see is this. And let me explain what you're seeing. On the bottom here, we have a chart of reflected lunar energy. This is taking into account not just lunar phase, but also distance from the Earth. You'll notice that the peaks are actually changing. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down. We're on a 1 hour chart right now. If we zoom out to daily, it's easier to see. Now you can see how the yellows, let me just hide these phase lines here. We'll get to those in a second. To do that, we can just turn off the show phase lines. Each peak in energy here is a full moon. Each trough in energy here is a new moon. These points are accurate down to the minute, okay? So extremely precise timing of full and new moon. But what is the y-axis on this chart? The y-axis is the amount of reflected energy that takes into account lunar distance. So as distance between the Earth and the moon decreases, meaning moon is closer to Earth, the amount of reflected energy increases. As we come down here, the peaks get lower and lower, and what's happening is the full moons are happening closer and closer to lunar apogee, where the moon is further away from Earth. And then around here, these two full moons are very close to lunar apogee. And then the full moons start getting closer and closer to Earth. You can see how over here on December 4th, we just had what looks like a peak in lunar energy. This is also what's called a supermoon, where we have a full moon very close to Earth and very close to the point of lunar perigee. And now we're starting the decline cycle again as the full moons are further away until we get over here in May and July. And that is when the full moons are at lunar apogee, when the moon is furthest away. All right, so there's a lot of good information here in this cycle, and you can see how it's really bringing together two cycles, the lunar phase cycle, which is 29.5 days, and the location of the perigee and apogee. So that's a different lunar cycle. The lunar perigee and apogee actually rotates in about 8.85 years. So that's moving as well. Okay, so that is this chart at the bottom. There's one option here that can control it. If you prefer curves over straight lines, then you can turn on the curves. Now, it's important to understand that in any given month, I'm really only calculating 4 points here, okay? I'm calculating the point of energy at full moon, at new moon, and at quarter moons. So what happens in between those points, I have not calculated. So there's basically two ways to connect those 4 points throughout a month. You can either use straight lines like that, or, and you can see how there's a little bend in the straight line here. This is the quarter moon point. Or you can curve it. My point in telling you this is don't think value for energy is accurate where we're between the 0 point and the quarter point. It isn't super crazy accurate. Now let's take a look at the phase lines. All right. Now, one of the things that we can do with the phase lines is turn them on. What they are telling us, we've got different colors for different lunar phases. New moon is blue, full moon is yellow, and the quarter moons are green. These are accurate down to the minute. We can go down to even a 5-minute chart and see exactly when those occur. We're not guessing on when these are. These are very accurate. Let me zoom out, and here we go. Here's the quarter moon. So that's exactly when the quarter moon hit, and that's within about 15 minutes of that peak. If we scroll back, we can see other examples of full moons and new moons. The last one, here we go. Here's our full moon. The full moon resulted, there was a strong pump up heading into the full moon. That's the usual behavior as we see moves up into peaks of reflected energy and then moves down on the backside of that. So if we zoom out again to the 4-hour chart, we can see this a little bit better. Here's a perfect example of a move up into a full moon and then a collapse on the backside of that. Obviously, it's not going to work all the time. There's counterexamples to this, like over here. And over here, we saw the peak between the full moon and the first quarter moon, or the third quarter moon. Okay, that's really it for this script. One of the things I would encourage you to do is take a look at price action for whatever asset you trade. What I'm trying to do here is layer on the trends in lunar energy, right? So they are easy to see. Often you will see these kinds of behaviors where there's big drops right around new moons because there's a lack of reflected lunar energy. This pump in Bitcoin into a full moon was quite weak. We can also see that this peak over here is the highest peak of energy. I think the energy peaks are going to start going down as full moons get further and further away from Earth. Okay, so lots of information encoded here. Lots of precision is used as well. So I'd encourage you to take a look at this new script, play around with it. New moons, full moons, or financial astrology basic stuff, but I've added a little twist to it, added a little bit more information so that you can benefit from that. All right, thanks again for using Time Trades. As a reminder, please check out time-trades.com. If you're not a subscriber, you can get access to this and get hands-on using the 15-day free trial. Okay, thank you. Bye.